Okay, I'm going to be talking around the subject and then get into the heart of the subject about consultations. It may be a little bit unconventional, this talk, but I think there's going to be some merit to it. I want to talk about three things. It's going to be, one is your relationship to yourself, two is your relationship with your patient, three is your relationship with your staff, and four is your relationship of your staff with your patient. And we're going to explore some of those dynamics because I think a consultation encompasses all those elements. You know, it's not just you. If your staff experience is poor, it's a problem with the patient. If your experience with your staff is poor, that's going to lead to problems with your relationship of your staff to your patient. So we're going to talk about all those dynamics. So if you think about this little motif, it's really a three-way relationship that we're talking about. So we're going to first talk about before you even get to the consultation, what are things that you need to know? Well, you know, I've lost a lot of weight in the last year through diet and yoga and through a lot of things, and I really believe it's actually enhanced my consultations in many respects. So what are the things that can make you feel better about yourself so that you feel good when you walk through the door for a consultation? One remarkable thing for me, and I thank Amina for this, is yoga, and it doesn't have to be yoga, it's just meditation, stress relief, it's just moving yourself toward greater peace. The more anxious you are, the more agitated you are, the more that's going to translate into how the patient feels about you and how the patient feels about themselves. And the more at peace you are with yourself, the more at peace your patient will be with you, and the more peace that you are with your staff, the more your staff will be at peace with your patients. So it all begins with great leadership and really self-calm. The thing is, American, I've always looked at exercise being the cornerstone to everything and diet being irrelevant. But diet is everything, and a couple books that have really changed my thinking is Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan, just the way that we think about food. And another book I'm about 3/4 through right now, a patient gave me, a hair transplant patient that lost 135 pounds, called The China Study. And it's a remarkable book about understanding how diet fuels everything. I stopped drinking coffee 2 weeks ago and I haven't even missed it. A large difference about all of that, just getting yourself right, and that makes a big difference when you walk through the consultation room. The other thing is oral hygiene. I have actually an oral hygiene station in the back where I brush my teeth, floss my teeth, and brush my tongue after lunch, before I go in to see patients. And I think the warm greeting in the front is so important. You know, Constance, who's working with me for 6 years now, is an amazing woman. She always greets people with a smile. And it's not just a false smile. You know, it's a true smile where it's coming and radiating from her heart. And that makes all the world a difference. You know, and it fit the aesthetic to your taste. I mean, for me, I was intimate in all the design elements to my area. And if it doesn't fit your taste, that's great. I mean, we all have different tastes, but allow that to reflect who you are. I did all the paintings, all the logos, you know, all the signage, and I'm very much into attention to detail. And so when you have that warmth on the front end, it really makes, I think, a big difference and a big impact for a patient when they come in. That first initial greeting is everything. I think it all begins and ends with leadership, and leadership starts from the top. It doesn't start from the bottom, and it trickles down across everyone. If you start with the right attitude, the right feeling, and the right real presence, I think, it trickles down to everyone in your office. An amazing gentleman in an amazing book is John Maxwell and the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. If you haven't read this book, I highly recommend reading it. It will change, I think, your entire dynamic. And I think it begins truly with great mentorship. Ed Williams up in Albany was my mentor. An amazing gentleman. I look at him as a humble man, a man of great compassion and great passion. And working with Ed has just taught me how to behave with staff. Whenever, you know, the S hit the fan, so to speak, in the OR, I would never see Ed blame anyone else. He would always take responsibility and assume that responsibility, assume the blame. That takes a lot of leadership understanding. And when staff sees that, I think it transmits in the way they behave with you and with your patients. Ken Blanchard, leading at a higher level. I heard him speak in Austin a few years ago, an amazing gentleman as well. And he really talks about allowing eagles, you know, people that are soaring. Those people, and I have a lot of eagles that I work with, a lot of them soar. You know, stimulate their creativity, allow them to be nourished and nurtured into a higher plane. And there are going to be people that are ducks. In other words, people come to work, they want to punch in and do their work and go home. And they also serve their purpose, but don't confuse them. Don't send ducks to eagle schools is what Well, that's actually a Maxwell saying. But that's really important, is to understand leadership starts at the top. Daniel Pink, in his book Drive, is an amazing book. He says that what's interesting is that bonusing and bonusing and bonusing can actually be negative. It can actually create and stifle creativity. So the thought is to look at autonomy, meaning, and purpose. And there's an amazing gentleman by the name of Csikszentmihalyi who really looked at something called flow. And flow is something that I enter when I'm in hair restoration. I think all my staff enters it when we're performing whatever we do, which is the idea is that if our challenge and our talent are matched, we can achieve a higher level. If our challenge is far in excess to our talent, we'll just stifle and stumble. If our challenge is too low and our talent is here, we get bored. So we have to match that, and it's an asymptote. We continue to arrive at mastery, but we never get there. And I think that's part of the charm of all of it is. And the other thing is important is, are you passionate about hair? I mean, I'm very passionate. I lead the faculty, I lead this course with passion because I love doing this. And I always challenge you to say, if you don't love hair, don't get into the field or get out of it. It's important that you have passion. I think it's delivered when you sit in front of a patient. If I get excited during consult to talk about how much I love hair, because if you don't love it, don't do it. The next thing is that there's a story of two people, as two stone cutters, and a gentleman walked out into this field and saw the stone cutter, and he said, "What are you doing?" The first stone cutter turned to me and says, "Well, I've been here like 20 years, and I don't know what's going on. It's hot out here. I'm toiling in this mess. I'm trying to build this building. I don't even know what this thing is. I don't know if I'm ever going to get it done." And so the gentleman walked another 20 feet and asked the next stone cutter, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, I've been here like 20 years. I don't know even how long I'm doing it. I don't even know if I'm going to finish this, but it's amazing. I'm building this cathedral. It's the most beautiful thing ever. And you know, people are going to come here and worship here. And I just can't imagine this for centuries. It's going to be here, and I'm going to be a part of this." So the question is, how does your staff see your vision? Are they cutting stone or are they building cathedrals? And that's something that I try to challenge myself every day to think about. And so, you know, the other thing is happiness. Is your staff happy? I mean, are they really happy? Are they just going there and cutting stone? So happiness is a huge thing. And happiness is not money. Happiness is satisfaction, it's passion about what you do, it's buying into the vision of what we're doing, and taking care of people. And if that's really where your staff is, that's the beginning of a consultation. It begins far before you actually get into the room. So what